There are two new reality TV shows, or at least new in Britain. One is Love is Blind, which had the reunion event today, and the Stephen Smith, who's a gym owner, had picked a partner, they'd got married, and it hasn't worked out, so they're now waiting for an annulment. And Naked Dating, which is being presented by Rylan. I believe I'm meeting Rylan in about a month, so I will ask him about his experience of presenting this show. But it's both shows seem to me to be deeply, well, both controversial and both deeply exploitative. Now, I had a long chat, a series of chats with a fellow called Nick Thompson, who was in series 2 of the American version of Love is Blind, and he found the experience quite disturbing. And in fact, he's set up an organization called UCAN, which I think is a very good organization in the States, and I think we should have something similar here. An organization to deal with the sort of destruction which is wrought by reality TV and by production manipulating the events to make a good story and make people look like villains or heroes, to reduce reality to a simple conceit of artifice, to reduce people's lives and experiences to something that can be edited and presented on television as good entertainment. My argument is that the manipulation doesn't stop with the end of the filming. The manipulation continues, and particularly in Britain, the regulations which are now governed by Ofcom rules means that the production company is still paying and supervising psychiatric support for people who've been on reality TV shows, is still interfering in their lives for another 18 months by law. Given the fact that the interference is the problem in the first place, I find that law put out under Boris Johnson's government, because he couldn't be bothered to reconvene the committee hearing into the problems with Love Island and Jeremy Kyle. It means effectively that production now has complete control over people, and I would strongly urge, while that Ofcom ruling is in place, that people should not get involved in reality TV. It's too dangerous. Reality TV, however it may appear to you on ITV, Netflix, Paramount Plus, whether it's clothed or unclothed, whether it's blind date or naked dating or blind attraction or naked attraction or whatever it is, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what the formula is, whether you're standing in a box and there's nothing between you and the camera, or whether you're in a room for a month. You are subject to stress and emotional triggers which can have a huge impact on you, but most importantly, as the subject of this television experiment, you lose agency. Now, many actors lose agency simply by the process of rehearsing and then performing under the direction of production. They are often protected by their agents and by their management and by unions. Reality TV personalities very rarely have access to agents and almost never have access to union representation. And their parents, their family, their friends, their partners very rarely understand or can appreciate the sort of stress that they are put in, because what they see is what we see on television. They don't see all the hours of discarded, pointless television footage and experience that they go through to make an entertaining and a compelling story. That story is not theirs. That story has been edited by people in a gallery, sometimes at some remove from where it was filmed. And they think they've done very well, and suddenly they emerge on television as this great villain. and some of their scenes are intercut or edited out of sequence to make them look even worse. Sometimes they're edited really well. I had a really good edit, but it didn't stop the manipulation that continued after the program finished. So I'm very disturbed, not only by the perversion of marriage, and you've got these people saying, oh, marriage should be between a man and a woman, and this and that. Well, yeah, fine, okay. I don't enter into that debate. What on earth do they have to say to something like Love is Blind? Is marriage something that should be arranged in a pod, having not seen the partner? Is marriage something that should be arranged for entertainment? Is that legal? Is a marriage arranged under those terms legally binding? I should have thought it was it was something that was entered into without full consent. I should have thought annulling such a legal arrangement was quite easy, and I should have thought that any authority that entertained that sort of arrangement was living in some sort of cloud cuckoo land, or some sort of legal framework which is very questionable. As for naked dating, I don't think it really matters whether things are pixelated or not pixelated. They're not much to write home about, I suspect. And it's salacious. Anyway, after a while, you probably don't notice that these people are running around the place without clothes on. It's exploitative, isn't it? I think it's exploitative. I would love to know how Rylan feels. I suspect after a while he doesn't really notice that all the contestants, all the performers are naked. And it probably isn't terribly important. But it is odd, isn't it? It's odd. As indeed is naked attraction. Odd and I think slightly scurrilous. Somebody's making money out of that. I don't know whether it's a good thing. I would love to know your thoughts on it. And I would love to know if you've been on naked attraction, or you've been on naked dating, or you've been on Love is Blind. Please get in touch, because I'd love to know what effect it's had. If it's had a positive effect, great. If it's had a negative effect in any form, I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. If you've been on any reality TV show, please get in touch. And you can, I think there's an email address for me at the top of this site. And please do make contact if you've been on reality TV. I've been fairly outspoken about reality TV. I think reality TV as a concept is a very interesting concept. It's a little bit like the Milgram experiment, or it's a little bit like a scientific experiment. You're part of that strange world, but I think it goes beyond that. And I think once you surrender agency in that format, it's very difficult to get it back. I think in my own experience, it took me about 5 years. I'm just about back to normal, but in the process, I've gone through cancer, and it doesn't take much to trigger that level of anxiety, which I think contributed to my illness. And those trigger moments can be extraordinarily slight, but it's about feeling a loss of control. It's about feeling that somebody is trying to take advantage, and that I find really disturbing now. And it doesn't really matter who it is. I don't respond well to it. But anyway, do let me know what you think, and if you've seen these programs, I'd be really interested to know what you think of these programs. I'm afraid I've not managed to track down Rylan's program because it's on a channel I don't subscribe to, but maybe I wouldn't be that interested anyway. As I say, I don't imagine it's very much to write home about, and I think I would be a little bit of a shame. I think I'd feel a little bit ashamed watching it, but I certainly will make a point of asking Rylan about it, and asking particularly, as a job, what's it like? And I remember meeting Rylan about 5 years ago, and I thought he was a very thoughtful and interesting young man. I've also enjoyed his book. So this is not just a figure who's moved around. This is somebody with thoughts and feelings, and somebody who I think will be very articulate about his participation. And I don't think he would have done it if he just felt that he was participating in some sort of meat market. So I would be interested to know exactly what he brings to that experience, and how he helps to modify or moderate the negative impact of that experience, and whether or not he shares with me my concerns about the reality TV phenomenon as a whole, as he's been through quite a lot of it.